Tonight, about 2,000 migrant children who have been separated from their parents in the past 6 weeks will sleep in U.S. government shelters.
We're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals.
Detention centres on the border are where child migrants are brought to when they arrive. It's their first taste of the American dream.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best.
They're not sending you, they're sending people that have lots of problems.
They're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime.
They're rapists, and in some I assume are good people.
My name is Megan Peace, and I'm an associate professor of Spanish and linguistics at St. Mary's University. I'm from Pittsburgh. I grew up in a completely English-speaking area, and really immigration wasn't something that was part of my life. I don't think I was ever aware. I'm sure there was immigration in the town where I grew up, but I was never aware of it. I never actually saw it. You know, I have had some students who are DACA, and I'm sure I've had others, but the ones who have chosen to tell me this, well, the first time a student said this, I didn't actually know what that meant. So I went and I looked it up, and that really just started my process of paying attention to immigration and to issues that people are experiencing.
My name is Denzel Rubio Gomez. I'm a sophomore music education major here at St. Mary's. So I'm a commuter. I live about 30 minutes south from St. Mary's. To me, DACA is like a band-aid almost, you know, because it's not a pathway to citizenship. You still can't do a lot of things that citizens can. You can't vote, you can't participate in anything like that. And the program was like a thing for like 5 or 6 years before people were no longer able to apply. And there are so many people who aren't eligible for DACA who don't meet the requirements because they were brought here at a very young age before it was passed, and there are kids who can no longer apply. So DACA is a great program. It does a lot of things for so many people. I'm very fortunate to have it. You know, I can work, I can drive. It's not a solution, you know, it's just them trying to come up with something, but it's very temporary, I think.
My name is Milo Colton. I'm an associate professor of criminal justice and criminology at St. Mary's University. I'm also a civil rights attorney and a former state senator. And as a human being, I believe it's absolutely essential that we help asylum seekers. These people oftentimes are in desperate straits, and in many times we played a role in the kind of desperation that they're experiencing. What's going on with this zero tolerance is equally horrible. When you take babies, toddlers, away from their parents or their family, or you take even kids elementary school age or teenagers, and you put them in what are concentration camps. It's scandalous and it's outrageous.
My name is Charlie Cottrell, and I'm professor of political science at St. Mary's University and also the president emeritus of St. Mary's. I think there are a number of ethical and moral issues with the current immigration policy. I wouldn't know really where to begin. One is that actually we're not following the intent of U.S. law and international law in granting asylum, but maybe even beyond that. We make it very difficult for asylum seekers, even those who have gained asylum, to live here. But beyond asylum, there are serious issues concerning the treatment of Central American, especially, and Mexican, but others as well. Families who are coming, basically fleeing areas that are unsafe.
A lot of people who enter this country, whether it be as immigrants or seeking asylum, they're fleeing from corrupt governments, from military presence in their countries, and I can't think of the words to ask someone besides like try to put yourself in those shoes where you have no option but to leave everything you've ever known to a country where you don't speak the language, you don't know anyone, you don't know what to do, where to go, where to talk to. But that's still the better option as to living there, you know? I know many people who lost family members trying to enter the country, and it was still a better fate than what they had back in their home country. So I just would ask people to take a step back and consider why this option is the one they're choosing to do.
I definitely believe we have a moral and humanitarian duty to help asylum seekers. And what I try to tell people is that we've turned away asylum seekers and turned them back to countries where they've been killed. And that goes back to 1939, when about 330 Jews were put on a ship and sent back to Germany. And at that time, our country decided that that was wrong. Well, the same thing's happening today, but people just don't see the connection to history.
My name is Etienne Rivera Gonzalez. I am a music major about to graduate. I'm a member of several different clubs here on campus. I helped start up the Asian Cultural Association, and I'm an officer of that. I'm also part of the student band committee, and I'm also an officer. And I'm also part of Opera Guild. I'm also an officer. DACA is I guess my way of sustenance, because I would not be able to do a lot of the things that I do right now without it. There's a lot of instability, especially in Central Southern America, and it's not safe in some parts. So migration or death is what it is. We don't bring our problems here. We don't bring whatever they think that we're bringing here. We are moving away from those types of situations, because at some point people just give up.
The interview process, the legal process for applying for DACA is so extensive, it's so rigorous. It took me like 3 months just to go through the paperwork, because there's so much you have to do. You have to provide so much documentation of pretty much every day you've been in this country.
To get DACA, I have to have background checks. I have to pass a bunch of other things before they even consider my application. So I can't have any felonies. I can't have any interactions that might look bad on my record.
Do you find that you hide this part about your identity for any reason?
I did at some point. And then I realized that a lot of people, it doesn't feel real to them unless they know somebody that's affected by it. And so when I was in high school, I just wouldn't tell people because it was like embarrassing, I suppose. And there was like a lot of misinformation going around. And at some point I just said, wait a minute, why?
There are other times when I'm around people and I notice that they might not know, not just about me, but may not know the reality of what it's like to be undocumented.
If you are going to form an opinion about immigration, about your sentiments towards immigrants, and etc., at least educate yourself on the topic itself, on the situations that are going wherever immigrants are from.
What can someone who is an ally to those with a DACA status do to support you in your status here in the U.S.?
vote, and spread right information. That's really all you can do for us. And stand up for your friends, because there's just a lot of misinformation going on around, and we're painted as bad guys, as just people who are here to mooch off the United States or etc. And in reality, we're just regular people who just want a normal life. I'm more than just my status. I'm a musician, I'm a student, I'm a community member, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, and most importantly, I'm a person.
We can help Central American and South American countries through development assistance. And that would, I mean, these people would prefer to stay home if they had the opportunity to live a good life. But it's very difficult for them to do that. So I think there's a lot we could be doing other than sending people back to harm.
It is especially important for people to stand up and take positions that basically disallow and speak against the dismissal, the persecution, the name-calling that basically is going on by the highest levels of the country against immigrants and immigration, when nearly all of our grandparents, or perhaps even parents, certainly many great-grandparents, were nothing more than immigrants anyway.
Is there any message on this topic that you wish to share with the viewers of this documentary?
If any of this moves you, go out and do something. Find some way that you can help. If you speak Spanish, if you write Spanish, you have even more ability to help. So get out there. I think of my daughter, who's a year old, and I think that I really tend to think, how are we going to view this time period at the remove of years or decades? And I think that when she's in school and she's studying this, and if she comes to me and she says, "Mom, that sounds awful that the country was doing this. I can't believe they were treating people this way." If she says to me, "What did you do about it?" I want to be able to answer her. So act in the sort of a way that you would be proud for future generations to see. If this moves you, get out there and do something about it. It would be my message.